boy, that's
Oh boy.
crazy. Oh boy. Did you hear about the Italian couple that escaped? Basically, a leave it all behind scenario. They escaped they survived two plane crashes in one day.
Two plane crashes in one day.
Yep.
How does that work?
So they were flying to a lunch date with friends from Turin when their first aircraft crashed. Then they took a second aircraft to continue their flight, and that one also crashed. It's crazy. I don't know how I find these stories, but they just find me. They just
But
find me.
there has to be a sign there, man. I
There
mean,
has to be that. That is a sign that well, the guy who was flying was Stefano Pirilli, 30 years old, escaped unhurt in his smash while his fiancee Antonietta De Masi, 22-year-old, 8 year difference. In these days, if you have 3 year difference, they call you a PED. But anything other than 3 year difference, these weirdos call you PED these days.
okay.
Uh, I guess Italy has other standards. But the aircraft came down, and they decided to take a separate light airplane on a lunch date with friends to the northern Italian city of Turin. And if that also crashed 25 miles away from the landing spot, and they
Here,
survived both.
yeah. Uh, I put it this way, Kier. If there was a third flight,
I don't think they would have taken that one.
yo, if there was a third flight, and I was booked to get on that flight, and these two people arrived
Show up.
saying,
Oh,
"Oh,
I'm
sorry,
good.
we're late. We just survived the second crash of the day. Now I'm good, man. Just I'm good, man.
That
Nah,
is
man.
great. That's a crazy story, man. That's a crazy. If you look at the videos as well, the pictures, it seems like a small. It's also those small planes, Technam P92 Echo.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
hey,
right.
man,
It does seem like a leave it all behind scene. Like,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah,
it does seem like that. Yeah.
uh, somewhere between Leave It All Behind and Final Destination, right? Let's start the show, man.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Double Thought Show. If you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe. It really helps us. And today's show, we're going to talk about mostly the latest Netflix movie called Leave It All Behind. It's been out for just a little over a month, as of the date of the publication, or at least publishing of this video. And yeah, it's a video that caused a lot of controversy. It's a video that some people found weird, some people found it interesting, some people found it eye opening, some people were too busy doing that glog glog, or what
What?
was it,
Not
gawk gawk, what
2000?
is it, instead of watching it. So they only listen to the audiobook.
The
But
girl got 3000 in
the
full
glog,
effect. My
yeah.
eyes closed. I didn't see nothing after that.
But yeah, so it's pause it, it into pasta. But yeah, uh, we're gonna
Oh
talk
my god.
about that. Yeah, just the reception, what people were saying about it. Of course, we're gonna start with the plot. So there are some spoilers. So consider this a spoiler alert if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it. It
Come
might
back.
be a
Go watch it and come back
yeah.
and see whether we were talking the truth or whether we were lying.
Yeah. And of course, we might cover some other topics depending on the time. In basically, but the majority, let's say the biggest part of this show, we're going to talk about that Netflix series. If you haven't watched our previous take on the Chappelle special titled Dreamer or The Dreamer, I believe, then please go check it out as well. It dropped on Monday, last Monday. But before we proceed, as I said, remember to subscribe if you haven't done so already and hit that notification bell. Share the video with your friends, your family, and your enemies. Like the video so the algorithm shares it with more people. And comment, let us know your thoughts and opinions. What you on the topics, our take, the Netflix series, or at least this particular Netflix movie, Leave It All Behind. Please feel free to engage. This is an open platform. We're open to hearing whether we got it right or wrong. With that being said, KR, we're done with the housekeeping. We can proceed with the show.
Okay. It sounds pretty good. Hey man, let's start.
Let's
Let's
stop
start.
it.
Let's start
Okay.
with the leave it all behind.
Yeah.
Let's go right away into that.
Yeah.
Leave it all behind plot. Yeah, so basically it tells the story of two families, a wealthy family and a not so wealthy family or less wealthy family, because they were living in the city center. So they must have some change. The I don't remember their name though. What's their name? You have the
Sandra, no, Sandra Bullock. It's not even Sandra Bullock.
Julia Roberts. That's her name.
Julia Roberts. Yeah.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Clay, Amanda and Clay,
Mm.
and G.H. Scott and his daughter Ruth. Um, yeah. So basically, you have the two families. One, the Julia's family, which is Amanda and Clay. They rent out a luxurious home outside of the city just to stay there for the weekend. And you have the well-off G.A. Scotch millionaire broker, or whatever he does, something like that, who owns multiple homes in the city, one outside of it, which is the one he rented out, and one in the city center. His wife is a art dealer who was in Morocco doing some art and was flying back that same day. What it basically boils down to is that I think they arrived there on Friday, seems like, not mistaken, and basically there was a blackout, and GH Scott, without notifying Amanda and Clay, just pop up on the in front of front on, at their home.
Yeah.
In the beginning, there was kind of a friction there. They didn't totally believe GH Scott is a
Belong there.
I mean, sounds like something. That part was crazy, to be honest. But yeah,
Yeah. So you had a so it's leave the world behind. I think I said it wrong a couple of. I might
actually,
have said it wrong.
I say leave it all behind the whole time, but it's
Leave the
leave it
world
all
behind.
behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I also called it that. But in any case, yeah, as you said, so GH Scott knocks on the door and Julia Roberts opens up. Of course, not as Julia Roberts, of course, but she opens up. There you have in the house a very beautiful house, modern house. Clearly, it's like a vacation house. um, from someone that earns a lot of money, very comfortable, and they're there with the family, as you said, KR. The knock, someone knocks, they open the door at night. Um, two strangers, and
There's
then
two black people.
two
That's
black
all.
people. Yeah, in that neighborhood, they didn't say it, but that was one of the various, or at least, so late. So the daughter felt that it was because they were black, that Julia Roberts and her family were, or at least Julia Roberts specifically.
Amanda. Let's call her
uh,
Amanda.
yeah, well then Amanda, yeah, okay, it's not Julia Roberts, that Amanda was treating her as was treating them differently, as if they didn't believe that the house belonged to them. And yeah, when they get but you can see that the GH Scott didn't tell everything, because he was also being cryptic. Yeah, we were in the neighborhood, and yeah, we just heard that there's an outage. We came here. We were wondering if we can stay here. And of course, for the family, I mean, if you rent a house and then the owner comes and say, "Hey, can we stay downstairs?" It's a bit weird, especially if you rented it only for your family.
Yeah, but I have to say one thing I want to skip back a little bit. One thing that was really interesting is are the racial undertones that were at the beginning of the movie.
At the
Um,
beginning.
at the beginning, yes, at the beginning there was a lot of when they arrived. Basically, I think the first half of the movie had a lot of those racial undertones to them. Basically, um, uh, 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 Julia not believing that it's their house, calling them housekeeper maybe or whatever. And
Oh, yeah.
in addition, also um, co- this one I thought was a funny line.
Let me see.
Our home. When she was suggesting that they come to our home because they rented it while it was GA Scotch property. So it seems like they were choosing it was less racial the rest of the movie, but at the beginning when they arrived it was very like we don't trust them because they could they it's impossible or they could be that it's not their home. And later on during the movie that waned off a little bit because they started to look past. And I think that's the transition of the movie. It started racially, a lot of racial undertones, but then it seemed like they got to understand each other, know who they are, and then it basically moved from that phase.
Yeah, because they gradually proved that they were the owner. But KR, the thing is, I don't want to. There might have been indeed racial undertones, but at the same time, if someone comes knocking at your door at midnight, even if it's a white person, it's like it's midnight. I don't know you. I'm not sure if I would have let you come in. The dude didn't even have his ID. Oh, I must have forgotten it. So, I'd rather be called prejudice, or at least act, let's say, out of prejudice to protect
No,
the family,
I do agree with you, but
instead
don't
of
you the,
instead of saying, "Oh, I don't want to."
remember
I
where BLM under which president BLM became prevalent. So
That's
that's
true.
why I think I mean they were
Yeah,
also
but
producers of this.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. But the one thing is also, that's true, because it's it was them. So the 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 height of the racial undertone, just to finish that, because of course, in the you could see in the movie that the daughter of the G.H. Scott was the one who felt, um, and that's Ruth, right? So
Yeah.
Ruth felt that she was being that they were being treated like that because of the color of their skin,
Hmm.
right? While the father, uh, J.H. Scott, played by Marshala Ali, he was more, of course, wise and understands that maybe it's more complicated than that, because in essence it is complicated. But the height, I don't know if you remember this, KR, was when Amanda, played by Julia, was arguing with Ruth, the daughter of G.H. Scott. And Amanda said, "You think you know everything, don't you?" And then Ruth said, and that's of course, the black daughter, right, of J. Scott. Isn't that calling the cattle? Isn't that the pot calling the cattle black?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
yo, yeah, that was like the height. And after that tension, the I think it's not only race, but they could gradually prove that they were the owners. They knew where the
Actually,
records were.
but I think they already proved at that point that they were the
Yeah,
owner.
they at least proof they've convinced them.
Yeah.
They've convinced them. Yeah, but at some point, because of course we're a bit forward now. Uh, to be honest, we never found out for certain whether they're the owners or not, or at least no. Let me put it like this: we found out for certain because we could see. So because of the movie, but Amanda and the family did not get that certainty, because the only way you can get a certainty is by means of a deed. So they believe.
On
So
this.
I think
Without a deed.
I know that they wouldn't.
I'll tell you.
I
I'll tell
I
you
know
how.
that they wouldn't, but I'm saying um it's only because the outside challenges became bigger than the inside challenges. The outside threats became bigger than the inside threat, and actually the inside threat wasn't a threat at all, because they could see that, they treated them nicely. But the only way, KR, I'm a lawyer. The only way to prove for certain is
No one
by
pulls
means of
out
a
a
deed.
deed. Come
Hey,
on. Who
hey,
wants with a deed in their pocket?
nobody. But that's the only way you can find out whether someone is the real owner. Yes or no.
Well, you can find out because what does it say on the deed?
Probably the name of a foundation or something.
You get the game. Okay. You get the game.
Of
Well,
course, hey, I'm a lawyer, man. Of course, I get the
so
game.
you could prove it either in that way.
That's true. That's true. But so I would argue that
I know that. I'm in my mama's basement.
yeah, but I would argue that at that point it's not really that important,
No,
because
it's not important. I think it was, to be honest, it was um I think it's a the way they wrote this movie, to be honest. So let's go first through the plot. The Basically they get stuck because there was a blackout all over the country, and there was basically what's the guy's G.A. Scott? What's his first name?
George or something.
George George Scott. Yeah, George basically George was George knew was what was happening, and he didn't want to reveal everything what he knew or what he suspected was going on. He waited a long time, almost till the end of the movie, to tell what really probably is happening. But he knew
Yeah.
it all the whole time. He knew it from the time he chose to drive to the house.
Well, he had a suspicion.
Yeah, he had a suspicion.
but he knew for certain that it was bigger than just a blackout.
Yeah,
It wasn't like a simple blackout. Yeah.
he already
And
had a strong, because a client of him told him, take care of yourself.
yeah, yeah. So what I found interesting about, so what I found interesting about the movie, about the plot, was the way it was sequenced, right? So first of all, this the of course the family, when they get the first, so let's start at the beginning. The Amanda and the family, so the Sanford family, they go to Scott's house. They know it's Scott, but they don't know Scott. They stay there. They go to the beach. They're laying at the beach. They see a ship coming, and then they realize, hey, the ship is so close. Oh, it's coming right towards us. So they run away from the beach. The ship comes crashing at the beach. They go home, but it's like that was a climax, weird climax, and then they switch it, and then it's just like they're doing normal things, like, oh, that happened, it is what it is. They go do groceries. When they go do groceries, they see this man, uh, or at least Amanda goes to do groceries, and as she is packing her car with like all these perishable products, she turns around and see another guy with bottles of water, bottles of toilet paper, like a lot of things, like he was preparing for something. But then she just goes back home. And what I like about the movie is the sound. They played with like weird sound. In any case, they get home, the Scots arrive. They have this whole, they, of course, are they the owners? Are they not the owners? Then some weird things start happening. They don't get connection, so they try to leave. So the Sanfords say goodbye. They try to leave. They go on the road. They find themselves. They encounter like
Bunch of Teslas.
a bunch of Teslas crashed against each other, and then they turn around and they see like a bunch of other Teslas coming. So it was
What I,
like
what I
an
didn't
electric.
understand. Do you know that you can drive off road with a Jeep?
Yeah, that's right. Yo, yeah. So they had a Jeep.
They had a Jeep and they were driving on. So the Teslas are
Bec-
driving on the road towards
yeah,
crashing
yeah,
towards the
yeah.
other
They're
one.
yeah,
Basically, it was
and
a
they're driving without, so just so automatically they're driving like there was a, so you could conclude that there was like an electric
hack. It was a
hack.
hack
It
by
was
one
a
of the
hack.
group to
And
basically
yeah,
plug up all the roads.
yeah. And so they were just the cars were just without any driver, just heading straight towards the pile of crashed cars, and then they just kept crashing one so against each other. And yeah, they did have a Jeep, but
It was a Jeep, and there was enough space to drive off road, and they chose to keep swerving on the road. I mean, I was looking at it. These are the things I look at. The first watch, I was like, "What the heck is
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah,
What are we doing? Are we making a movie of a parody? Or
yeah.
maybe
Well,
it's both."
they chose the Fast and Furious route, right? So they just
Yeah, almost crashed the whip.
almost crashed it. Yeah, they went back to the house. They managed to escape the rain or the flood of crashing cars. Let me call it. Let me refer to it like as that. They go back to the to Scott's estate because they see that they can't get into New York City due to the
Why
due to
would you
the
want to go back? Actually, but okay.
well, they wanted to go back home. And when they got back, the Scots welcomed them in. Well, at least the dad did, G.H. Scott. The daughter was like, "Dad, they were already gone, and why are we still sleeping downstairs?" And yeah, and then the so they try to find certain. They try to find. So they split up at some point. The kids, they do kids things, so they try and go and explore. They find the cabin. The cabin is so the cabin in the woods. There you see like, but it's so mysterious. So it's like a thriller. What does it mean to have a cabin there? What's the purpose of the cabin? Um, and as they walking, the youngest one, Rose, the youngest daughter, who at the beginning of the show was watching a Friends, was basically almost at the end of the Friends series. Only the only she only had to watch the final episode of Friends, but couldn't. As they were walking either to the hut or from the hut back home, they saw a house amongst the so between the all the trees. They saw a house, but then they kept on walking. When they got to the to the estate, of course, the dad, the Sanford dad, went into town to see what was going on. Found a lady speaking Spanish, saying like, "Please, ayúdame, ayúdame, help me, help me, help me." And he was like, "I don't understand you, and I don't understand you." And that was the only person he saw. As actually, that's the only person they saw aside from Kevin Bacon, who played Danny. But they didn't see anyone else once the event started. So once the blackout came and they were isolated, and yeah, he left her there. We're gonna pretend like that didn't happen, but he left her there. I mean, you didn't understand, but you could clearly see that she was panicking.
Mhm.
Went back, and at the end, they were looking. So when they got home, everyone was telling their story. uh the son, but during they stayed there, a lot of weird things were happening. So they were seeing like a bunch of reindeer, or is it rain, or were they not reindeers, deers, right? A bunch
Yeah.
of deers, and a weird sound. So at some point the son's
Teeth fell out.
teeth started falling off. So they went to Danny, played by Kevin Bacon, who was the one that Amanda, played by Julia Roberts, saw at the grocery store packing for a war. She was at that moment when they realized what was going on, because I think uh, J.H. Scott, like little by little, started telling them, okay, so this is bigger than we thought. This
Mm.
might be, you know, whatever. But he still didn't disclose everything yet. Or maybe he did, like there was an attack, maybe. At least at that point they knew that there's a possibility that the US was under attack, or at least New York was under attack, because of the flyers and a couple of things. But due to the fact that there weren't any electrical communication, or at least electrical, no electrical device were working, they couldn't get connection, they didn't get catch any news. And yeah, at the end of the show, the youngest daughter goes missing, Rose. I mean, to sum it up, while planes were crashing at beaches and a lot of things happening, only at the end to see, when they were looking for Rose, Amanda and Ruth Scott were standing in the forest looking at New York City, basically getting bo-
Bombarded. Yeah.
yeah, bombarded, while the last scene of the show was saying, hey, was Rose going to the house that she saw in the woods, which apparently had a war. Well, it's a bunker. It had a bunker built in. And shortly before that, that's when basically G.H. Scott told everything he knew that he had. So those stories that he had a client, the client is a very powerful man. The client called him and said, "Can you transfer my money for me?" And then he said, "Hey, I wish you good luck." And at the end of the show, he's talked about the attack. it was an attack because the his client was in the military industry or weapons industry, and at that point they realized they he said,
He
yeah,
ran,
I what
he ran a couple of scenarios for his client, and
yeah
one of them was basically what is the most efficient way to organize a coup in a country, or making sure destabilizing a country. And that's basically he explained the whole scenario, what he has tested for his he has ran tests for his client. And basically what we were seeing were basically the that scenario. And one thing I have to say is that while Amanda was looking for I forgot her name, Rose, with Ruth, they basically when they saw New York being attacked, and they also looked at it's a lot of things, right? Before leaving the house to go to Danny's house, they Ruth basically agreed with Scott to put their timing at 1 hour. So within an hour, he should be back and pick her up. If not, um, whatever happens. They go to Danny to help the son of Amanda because his teeth were falling out. And basically, Danny tells you the full conspiracy of probably what happened.
yeah
And then you think first you thought it was the bug that bit him, but it wasn't the bug. It's probably the sound that really did the made
the,
his teeth fall out.
yeah
And at the end, whoa, they almost blew each other's.
brains out.
It was a standoff for a
Mm.
second. And after that, they came to agreement to give him some pills. And during that talk, basically what Danny told them is that their neighbor has a bunker. And while they were basically, like you said, Danny was not Danny. Scott was telling the plot, basically what was happening. At the same time, they went back to what the 1 hour mark was getting off. So the alarm was going off for both Ruth and GH Scott. And then they went to the home, and you could see Rose basically eating, enjoying life, and going down to the bunker and finding out there was, um, well, a ton of movie series and
Yeah,
all that.
DVD players. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So basically, that's the movie, man. That's the movie. I think we can go now to the reception, the reviews. I think the reception was quite interesting. People were talking about conspiracies and all that joint.
Yeah, predictive. Predictive. So like they're telling you what you're going to do or what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Some call it fiction, some call it fact. KR, what did it?
What
Well,
I thought about it, my
yeah,
opinion, it's
yeah,
a, it's an interesting movie. I don't think it's nothing out of the ordinary, other than who were behind it. Um,
yeah,
because if they weren't behind it, we probably wouldn't have gotten that much of a look. I think the plot is quite simple. Simple. Very simple actually. Um, the thing that I think they did a great job with the music, like you said. The sounds they chose, it's very nostalgic or horror like, horror
it's a
thriller like.
thriller. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
they chose at certain point they were very. It seemed like
Horror. Yeah,
it was edging towards horror, like the
that's
sound,
true. This. Yeah,
the deers coming and stand there. You don't know what they're gonna do. the deer basically they come with a brolic. Yo, I don't know. CGI is crazy. They came with a brolic deer out here, like
Yeah,
he's Terry Crews of deer, man.
yeah. Dancing and everything.
Crazy. It was looking crazy, but they were basically. I mean, it was a trailer officially, but they were basically a lot of uh, aspect where you think, okay, this is a more typical sound they would use in horrors rather than trailers. I think it was a I would give it a 7. The whole thing about conspiracy, maybe we'll talk about it in the next part. I think the reception was a bit off, to be honest. Um, like I said, I don't know if it's a 7. I wouldn't make it like it's one of the best movies I ever saw.
No.
It's one thing I'll say. Oh no, I'll talk about it in the next part. I'll talk about it in the next part.
Yeah.
You, what was your opinion of it?
Yeah, I think to me it was weird more than anything. It was definitely um eye opening. If I look at the
In what kind of sense?
so there are a lot of symbolisms there, and
Really?
one of the um with regards to the ratings and reception, IMDb gives it a 6.5. So you are a bit more generous than IMDb.
That means
Uh,
that Rotten
That
Tomatoes gave
that
it a 4.
that rarely happens. Usually you give them less, let's say a lower rating. How much is Rotten Tomatoes? Let me know. In any case,
They
do
gave
you
him Rotten Tomatoes gave him 7.76%.
76%? Okay,
Yeah, the
7.6.
tomato meter
Yeah. So
is
but it's like it's still
almost
average, right?
34. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
average.
Yeah. So it's still average. So the
Usually, Rotten Tomatoes is lower than IMDb, to be
yeah.
honest.
So the symbolisms. First and foremost, at the beginning of the movie, you didn't know what type of movie it was. So you didn't know if they were people. So if the Scots were people from the future, yes or no?
What?
You don't know what type of movie it is, purely based on the, like what's the one with the, I see, uh, I see people, I see deceased people.
Yeah, that's yeah, I know which movie you're talking about. But
S-
that's a
no,
big
no, but you know that at the end, you're like, oh, or just like the movie with Nicole Kidman. There's also a movie like that he's seeing ghosts, but at the end of the movie, it's like no, she's the ghost and they're the real people,
yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
they were all
That,
ghosts.
I didn't expect that from the movie from the
But
start.
I
Right.
didn't know. So because it was just a trailer, I think it's the movie, because of the movie and the weird sounds.
Mhm.
You considered it, you linked it to a horror. I linked it more to a alien, like weird things going on. So I was like, are these people from the future?
That's
uh,
crazy.
i did I didn't think alien, but I did ask myself whether they were from the future or not. So that was the first
I
thing, but
thought
that
I thought it would be more. I thought, to be honest. So you thought it was from the future. I thought they would be more. They would poke each other in that house, and not poking the friendly May.
the other way. Well,
I
I
that's
didn't think.
the sounds they use. That's what I affiliate that sound to. But okay, continue.
So one more.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's the I so indeed. So first, I didn't know what type of movie it was, but
Mhm.
then I was like, no, these people are just humans based on the reaction and interaction. So you get information as they're interacting with one another. Um, then I indeed thought that maybe they weren't the owners, because they did, when Scott opened the drawer, he had the keys to the drawer, to the liquor cabinet, and he opened the drawer, and you could see a blicky there. I was like, um, is something gonna happen? Yes or no? But of course, they showed it for the tension. And then I realized that, hey, if they, I mean, they weren't aliens. So I knew pretty early that's not an alien show because of the blicky. But then I didn't I but yeah, but I didn't know. So to that extent, I have to say I give them so the script kudos, because it was through the interactions that you found out bit by bit the what the story is about. So it wasn't like, hey, there's an invasion and we need to do something about it. Um, about the symbolism, or at least you talked already about the racial undertone. There was another thing that uh, to me, as it relates to an eye opener, was very clear. Who were the two people? Who were the two people who enjoyed life, who stayed calm, or profited, could maintain the level of calmness um and uh standard of living as they had prior to when the power outage happened. It was Danny, played by Kevin Bacon, because he's the so-called, let's call him a prepper. They I understand that people who prepare don't like to be called preppers, because it's like yeah, they find it like the meaning is just being prepared. But he was calm because he had his water, he had his food, he had medicine, and he was already prepared mentally for the situation. Because when the Scots and when Scott and the father, Clay Sanford, played by Ethan Hawke, arrived there, he met them with his shotgun. And he was like, that's okay. I need you to step away from the door. This isn't normal times. You're welcome to come. So these are all fragments of what he said, right? You're welcome to come anytime and talk, but I can't help you. Eventually, he did end up helping the son to prevent the teeth from falling, but he knew what was going on. He didn't know who was attacking, but he did have intel. So he had at least a sense of idea of what was happening. The other person who relatively didn't feel anything was the daughter, Rose. Two reasons. First, she's a kid. And I think we talked about this a couple of days ago off air. And you said, hey, you could see a kid in a situation like that will still be a kid. It can't comprehend what's going on. So the bliss. But also the fact that she went to the house of one of the neighbors to see if she can get food or something, and happened to come across the same bunker that um, Danny, played by Kevin Bacon, talked about or mentioned to eat Clay Sanford and Scott. So he did know. So the symbolism there to me is like they say, proper seven P's, proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. So it's like the ones that were prepared could handle the situation better. And being prepared doesn't necessarily mean I need to have a bunker. Not everyone can afford a bunker. Man, KR, after that show, I watched like some interviews of a couple of people who talk about these things. And a bunker is like the last. like it's great to have a bunker in an ideal situation because you never know what can happen. I mean, and a bunker can help you in if you're living in a tornado infested area as well, for example, especially with wooden houses. But prep is can be as simple as having cans of non-perishable foods, water. You need to know how you need to have matches, like small things. And I think when I saw that, that to me was the eye opener. I
So you became a prep.
well, you can come. I'm not a prepper. I don't have a bunker yet. When I do, I'll let you know. Well, I won't. But I want to see if I can keep this double. Yeah, post-apocalyptic. If I can keep these double thought shares. No, man,
Mm.
but no, but the no, I don't have a bunker, but it did.
Did it
mm,
scare you actually?
I did become paranoid. I would lie if I told you I didn't. And the
Really?
reason and the reason was purely because I didn't because I knew at that point that there are things going on that I don't understand. So for example, and then what did I do? I just went and read on, for example, how electrical systems, so how a hacking can take place, electric magnetic pulse, those type of things,
Oh my
and
god.
what can happen. But yeah, basically, I mean, if you watch like, I
So
think I watched like,
you didn't know this could happen.
I know it could happen, but I always saw it as a human error or something caused by a natural disaster.
Oh, oh.
Not I was not aware of an attack that can basically, because we think we grew up in a state of peace, and actually the peace, we've always known it, but our grandfathers and grandmothers experienced the war. Maybe they were kids, but they did experience it. Their grandparents experienced something else, so it's like different generation things.
Mm.
But I think because of the peace, and especially nowadays because we get bombarded with so many things, right? Social media, um artists, celebrities, luxury, consumerism, buy. This is what a relationship should be like. So we get so many. This is the latest trend. But and all those things, it's like you forget that there is a this
There's
state
more.
of the state of peace is like created,
It's
but
temporary.
everything is temporary. It really is temporary. They would want you to believe that it's
People
not,
don't
right?
understand,
So
people don't
you're not.
understand that majority of the human history there has always been war. We are in the probably the safest time.
Yeah,
Don't want to burst your bubble, but we are in the safest time, and even then, you really can see what happens.
yeah. I think we are in the safest time on our, so in the West,
Yeah, in the West.
but in other
Yeah,
countries,
to be honest, I'm not gonna say what I want to say, but in the West, yes.
well, let me add this as well. I was reading on, of course, various how.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah, sure.
3 years ago, they were already 3 or 4 years ago. They announced that the infrastructure in the US is not up to date.
So that's also something I found out in my research. Yeah, and what so I was watching this author who passed away mysteriously as well, but he was like very specialized in He has multiple books on preparing for, cyber war and those type of things, and the preparation, because in our heads, in our minds, a war is with, with the projectiles and those type of things, but it's actually not, it doesn't necessarily have to be the case.
People have no idea, dude. People have no idea.
But you knew, so from your reaction, I get that to you this wasn't like a surprise.
I was watching that movie. I already knew what was going to happen before it ever even happened. So,
Yeah, yeah,
not saying I'm a prepper, but I know a thing or two.
yeah.
I know a thing or two. I think the story was written in a very interesting way. If you look at the characters they have only shown 7 characters during the whole movie. 7. Let me see
Seven,
what it's
one,
called.
two, three, four, five,
No,
six,
eight,
seven,
8 people.
eight.
8 people usually talk.
Is it eight?
Yeah, 8 people talked. But I'm not gonna count
One, two.
the response of the cop to
No.
Ethan's question. I'm talking about people that have you had the kids and the family, Clay family. That's 4. You have
Yeah.
Marsha and
Root.
Ruth, yes. And you have Ethan and you have the Spanish speaking lady. That's 8.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
8 is also a full circle. I'm not gonna go into that. But the 8 people, the 8 represent, I think, if
That's
you
the
look,
infinity. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
um, the 8 represent, I think, that's what, if you see the way people react, every person reacts differently throughout the movie. That could represent the 8 ways people react to crisis. There are people that respond like this Spanish speaking lady, full panic, full panic mode, all the way. They don't know what to do. They start crying. They don't have no answers. You've
But
had
she didn't know. She really didn't know what was going on, and she couldn't speak English, so she was
disease,
like
disease,
completely lost. Yeah.
disease.
Yeah.
We could call it those people disease,
Disease normies.
disease of zombies. But
Yeah,
okay,
yeah. But you just need to pronounce it correctly, because I thought you said disease.
no,
I was like,
the disease from
yeah,
zombies.
yeah, yeah. The
Disease.
Z's, the Z's.
Well,
Okay.
maybe they are a disease, but okay, let's continue. According to some people, I mean, hey, I didn't say it. I'm just listening to
So you're
comments.
saying, and so normies, or the Z's, the zombies, you're referring to people who are walking through life without thinking.
I'm not. I don't know nothing. Let's continue. Uh, I'm not gonna explain nothing. I'm just gonna say some things about this movie. Uh, the you have the people that respond very panicky without even thinking. They are crying. They have no solutions. You have the people like Marsha Lee that have a that think that they know what's going on. They have a strong indication where it's going. You have people that are very aloof, which is the kids, which are the kids, the 2 kids of the Clay family, or the what's the name, Sanford family. You have Ruth, who's very who's who comes from a well-off family, and she's used to a certain way of living, very privileged, and also responds very privileged throughout the movie. You have G.H. Scott, which is a, let's call him a Switzerland, so to say, very neutral, level-headed. You have people that are very open, which is the dad, very open to new people, to getting to know and etc. You have the mom that is very closed, and you have people like Danny. Or you can call them prepper. You can call them people that are aware of the situation. Those are the types of people do really have in crisis, really.
Yeah.
And you have, of course, the ones who are bombing the city,
Yeah. Yeah.
but those
Yeah.
are not included. But
Yeah.
I think if you look at a facts fiction of focus, I think it's. Um, it's definitely fiction, and there are some parts where I ask myself, "Dude, what the heck is this?" But at
Hmm.
the same time, there are things that they blend facts, right? There's things like the not updated the not updated systems that are being used in the U.S. You have the aspects of um, the inter, intricate role internet plays in our society these days, and how you can basically close off everyone by internet. Um, in that aspect, that is a fact, I think. What also is a fact is that there are a lot of people that are plotting on the downfall of the US. So
Yeah.
I think
And
that
I think, yeah,
put them all together and
yeah,
you have this movie, which is
that's
a
great.
blend of facts and fiction. And I don't know if it's a forecast, to be honest. Um,
It's a scenario. It's a possible scenario,
Scenario.
but what I think is, because I've been started watching like a couple of course you'll watch videos about
Dude,
the,
you turned totally paranoid after this one. What the heck?
if I know I don't know something, I try to know about it, because paranoia is oftentimes,
Oh,
you need to be paranoid. There's a book I like. It's called Only the Paranoid Survive. It's a business book actually, but uh, if Patrick Bet David, who sold his company for 300 shy under 300 million, recommends the book as a top 10, I think I'm good. So I read that book, but usually what I do is, if I don't understand something, I try to get the information, so I can understand what's going on. And so I watched just what's necessary. So like practical things, like if something like that were to happen, and that can even be, let's say, even if a simple thing happens, a 5-day power outage, not doesn't even need to be an attack, but what's up? Whoa, do you know? Are you ready? So that's one thing. But also went to see, okay, what's just like a quick video or at least a couple of videos about people talking about the international relationships, just to see like war strategists, what can happen, what cannot happen, what are the chances of things happening. And yeah, when I saw that, and then you know that it's not that simple. Attacking US is not that simple, because you can attack it, technically speaking, but what are the consequences? US is
you
uh
can't attack the US.
what?
You can't attack US.
I mean, that's what, so you can,
You cannot invade US.
well, so I'm saying you can, so you can, will it be successful? That's one thing.
No, you
uh
can't. You can't.
why not?
The problem with invading US is that at any corner you have a blicky. So whatever you do, you have opposition at any corner.
Maybe that's
Literally.
why maybe that's why they went for New York.
Maybe that's the scenario what they
Yeah.
did. So, and I'm talking about scenario. Those who know what is happening right now. The scenario they played in this book is probably the closest thing that can be done.
Yeah.
This is the closest thing because you cannot invade US.
No.
You get
Well,
popped. Your soldiers get popped in the back.
like just a random person, like a
Like
random person will
Ricky.
pop you. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ricky!
yeah. Like random. Yeah. But even so, I'm saying, even let's say, and hypothetically, they do, the consequences worldwide will be extremely severe. Not to mention or underestimate the allied, the allegiance that a lot of countries have. So it's not in no one's interest to just start attacking people. So that's why they're doing maybe the cyber attacks. But in any case, whatever it is, KR, that's way above my pay grade, and we do not, we as individuals. So you have the state, and you have individuals, and the state has its own responsibilities. Defense, taking care of basic necessities, etc., and so on. So that's the
Really?
state's responsibility. Our responsibility as individuals, even if there's like time of peace, is to take care of ourselves. And that can even be, and that's why I think I strongly believe in, you know, uh, building your wealth, because of a simple thing, KR. When I talk about being prepared, I'm not even talking about a chaos. I'm talking about being prepared for 3 days. What is being prepared, KR? And it's only not only that. If something were to happen and you don't have a first aid kit, or you don't know how to
Do you
do
have one?
CPR, yeah, that I do.
Okay, at least you
Yeah.
got that one.
I have both at the
Is
office
it
and
half?
at
Is
home.
it
So,
half? Is it half or is it full? It,
uh,
is it
no, the
used?
only
Let me put it that way.
the only thing no the only thing used were like the three band-aids, but like I have like 2 packs. So
Okay, okay, okay.
I mean, if you have to survive on the band-aids of the of the survival kit, you won't survive. But I usually, what the reason why I like so what I use survival kits to see what you need, and then usually I just buy like a couple of rolls extra or whatever just to have it. But um I mean, if I catch gangrene, I'm gone. That's- but um the yeah, so preparation, but what's preparation, care? If you get There's a time of peace and you get ill, if you need to rely on public healthcare, you might pass away. But if you've built wealth, you prepared for that moment, you get helped in like a week or two. Like, the difference between being prepared and being unprepared is so big. It gets exponentially big. So to me, it's not only investing. Let me talk about that first. Investing as well. Do you have all your money in one state, or do you have it spread out? You, KR, I know that you live in your mama's basement, so you're doomed for. But for the other people,
Who said it? Who said? Maybe I got
you're,
blipping for days down here.
you're in your mama's bunker.
I'm sitting. I'm sitting and waiting.
Yeah. So that's maybe
Bunk
a
like Bunky Fiver. Like as soon as someone peeps, pah!
yeah, maybe.
Hey,
Okay, added that later on. So I think we but that being prepared, to me, it's more important than that. And you can only properly prepare for something if you understand what that something is.
you cannot prepare for every scenario, but you have to at least know what the scenarios could be. And I do agree with you on that. Not saying that. All I'll say is read a little. Read a little. If everyone who's watching, read a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
I mean, not saying that it's the, not saying that we are in the middle of it, but
Yeah.
read a little. That's
What
all.
G what GH Scott said in the movie, that's basically what it's about. You can prepare for every scenario, but what does GH Scott said? All the people with all the resources, they don't the best that they can hope for is a heads up.
They usually get
So
it.
yeah, but that's the
They-
best they can hope for. But that's the best that they can hope for.
When there's chaos, that's the only thing you can hope for, actually.
Yeah. So the being prepared, and the way I see being prepared, because some people have like food for 5 years or something. To me, being prepared, you need means so the principle of being prepared is buy yourself some time, or buy other people's time so you get help immediately. It has to do more So at the end of the at the end of the day, it's time. It helps you. It either gives you more time to think of solutions or to move, or it or if you have like the resources, you can buy someone's time to treat you or with priority, or and that's in general.
Ask yourself this. We've
Mhm.
been in crisis the last 5 years. Which are the people in the movie? Who would you be in this case?
That's a good question.
In the Uncle Fit period,
Yeah.
how did most people react? That's all I have to say just
Yo,
about it.
ayúdame.
People
Yeah.
were ayúdame all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would you? But Kaya, who would you? So who would you be in the movie
Oh, who
prior?
do you
So
think? I'll ask you, who do you think I look like the most?
based on your complexion, I would say G.A. Scott.
And with this in my hand,
Yeah, yeah.
somewhere in between GH Scott and Danny. That's how would I would put it. I'm not. I won't say where the bodies are. I won't say where the bodies are, but I have a strong feeling, a gut feeling where the bodies are.
The
Hey
bodies
man,
are.
it's good. It's good. Let's wrap it up. I think at the end of the day, I think it's a very interesting movie. A good thriller. A 7.5 for me. Um, Other than that, if your friends are talking about it over any conspiracies or whatever, they are Z's. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Yes. With that being said, yeah. Thanks to everyone who's watching the show. Whatever your thoughts are, let us know in the comment section below. Thank you for sticking until the end. There's a prize for sticking until the end. Namely, we want to thank you for your loyalty. We also want to remind you to share the video with your friends, your family, and your enemies. Like the video so the algorithm pushes it to more people. And of course, comment. Let us know what you thought of the movie, if you saw it, yes or no. What you think of the review of a review, and whether you would like us to do more reviews like this. In any case, it's been a pleasure to serve you once more, and we'll see each other in the next one. Until next time, peace.
Peace.